Welcome back to Just Crap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton. In episode 48, we got a really good lineup ahead of you ahead of UFC Vegas 35 and Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley on Sunday. We're first joined up by Kevin Lee, who we talked to on Monday. If this is a lightweight fight, I doubt he'd do a fight week interview, but easier cut for Kevin. We talked for the Brady fight. He told me once he got an opponent, we'd do another one, stuck to his word, which is really good. But this is an intriguing match against Danny Rodriguez. Kevin admits he didn't know much about D-Rod, but he said after looking into it, he knows it's going to be a really fan-friendly fight. And with a win, he kind of knows he puts a stamp on it that he belongs to multi-division. He belongs, and he should get a top guy next. Next up, we're going to be joined by Anthony Taylor, who's actually boxing Tommy Fury on the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley card. Anthony Taylor, former Bellator veteran, fought the likes of James Gallagher. He's a guy that used to fight at 45, did some lightweight fights, but he's a guy that's gotten a lot bigger since then. And Tommy Fury, though, is going to be a lot bigger. Tommy Fury's a guy that weighs around 200, 220 pounds, but he's the brother of Tyson Fury. But this is a big fight. Tommy Fury signed a 2-fight deal with Showtime. The assumption is he gets past Anthony Taylor. He then fights Jake Paul. But Anthony Taylor has been in that camp with Jake Paul. He's now back in California training with Antonio McKee, AJ McKee, Rampage Jackson, and all those guys. And he knows he has what it takes to pull off a big upset and beat Tommy Fury, then get a rematch in England is kind of what he thinks is going to happen. And after he beat Tommy Fury, he thinks the door is wide open for a fight in the UFC or return to Bellator. They're just big options. We're next going to be joined by Sam Alvey to preview his fight against Wellington Turman. Sam was very open. He kind of knows this is do or die. It's what he's been saying for the past three fights, that he thought if he lost, he's going to get caught. But the UFC really likes Sam Alvey. They're giving him another fight. He knows, though, he absolutely has to win this one. He thinks it's a very winnable fight for him, and he likes now that he's kind of found a footing at middleweight, and he thinks this is the first win of a good winning streak to get him into the middleweight rankings. We're then going to be joined by Bryan Battle, who's part of the top 29 finale against Gilbert Urbina. Bryan looked really good on Tough, coming off a submission win over Andre Petroski in the show. He's looked very impressive. He's actually fighting his teammate in Gilbert Urbina on the show. They're both Team Volkanovski. He's supposed to fight Tresean Gore. Gore had a knee injury, but Battle kind of thinks if once he beats Urbina, becomes the Tough 29 winner, he's gonna fight Gore down the line, just because it's a fight that makes sense. They're supposed to fight in the finale. We've seen that happen when Luis Pena couldn't make it to the end of the show. He ended up fighting the winner, Mike Trezano. But really good chat with Bryan, and we close things out talking to Andre Petroski. He's the only other guy on Tough to get a fight. He's fighting Michael Gilmore, who of course was an alternate for the show after Miles Hunsinger pulled out. Michael stepped in, told Dana White he quit his job to stay in Las Vegas. Dana obviously really liked that, gave him a UFC fight against Andre Petroski, who's kind of been on the UFC radar. Had he beat Aaron Jeffrey and LFA in his last fight, he would have got a Contender Series or UFC deal. But really good chat with Andre. I appreciate you all for listening. Thank you all for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode, and be sure to share the show, subscribe, and once again, thank you all for listening. All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Kevin Lee, who fights on Saturday. Kevin, how's it going, man?
It's all good. Smooth.
We obviously did an interview before he's supposed to fight Sean Brady. Then the fight gets pushed back to August. Then he has to get pulled out. Like, at that point, I know I messaged you and you said basically you're going to take whoever they offer because you wanted to fight. Like, how many people did kind of step up and ask to fight you?
We reached out to a lot of guys. I say maybe 10 or 12 in total. Only 3 guys were kind of like seriously on the docket. And even Daniel Rodriguez wasn't even one of them. You know, he was kind of somebody who came out of left field for me, at least. You know, I guess he had made a little bit of noise on social media and stuff, but I never saw it until they actually approached me with it. But you know, I think we picked the right one. I think the right guy stepped up. He's gonna put on a good fight, so I'm happy with it.
I am kind of surprised as your opponent, because I thought you would have either got like a big name like a Mike Perry, which I know you said didn't want the fight, or a ranked guy. Like, I thought those Bilal Muhammad, Neil Magny callouts would have made perfect sense. But was that kind of just a thing that you wanted to fight on this date and they were kind of offering for different dates?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to fight on a date. And at the end of the day, I'm the one that's a big name, you know. I'll make Rodriguez's name after this. So, you know, he'll get a little bit of a shine, and he'll get a little bit of that'll be his bonus for stepping up and actually wanting to fight. Even guys like Neil Magny, you know, I feel like I would have made Magny star a little bit bigger. So at the end of the day, it's me that's the star, and the rest of them is chasing it. So I didn't care who I fought.
How is the weight cut down to welterweight? Because Before when you were a lightweight, I don't really remember you doing too many fight week interviews because it was all about the weight cut.
Yeah, this one's a whole lot smoother. I'm just a lot more dialed into the actual fight. That's the most important, especially against a guy like Rodriguez. Like, he's gonna show up and he's gonna try and make it a bloody, like, drag him out fight. So that's where all my focus is. I only have 11 pounds to cut. That's nothing compared to a 26, 27 pound cut about the same time. So the weight cut is definitely a whole lot better.
Oh, when they kind of finalized Rodriguez as your opponent, like how much did you know about him, if at all?
I didn't know much, to be honest with you. You know, I went back, started watching his fights. I remember the tattoo. You know,
Yeah.
I kind of remember the tattoo real good. And I didn't really like his chest and upper trap area. I kind of remembered that. But when then I had to actually sit back and actually watch the fights. And a couple people called me, like a couple people that I actually know from the streets and stuff. You know, I got a couple of like friends and stuff in prison, and they would call me like, "Oh, you getting ready to fight D-Rod?" Like, they had heard of this dude. So that made it like a little bit more of a solidified fight for me, and not just fighting somebody just for the sake of it.
Oh, what's kind of crazy about this is he's like 6'1", so he has a bit of a height advantage, but you actually have the reach advantage, which is kind of odd. Like, do you kind of think like it just shows that you're kind of that welterweight frame? Like, do you think this is the fight where you're kind of should finally prove that you are the same strength, the same size, a lot of these welterweights?
Yeah, that is one of the benefits of this one is he's a full size welterweight. You know, he's over my height and over my weight. So you know, with Sean Brady, it was a little more even. This one, he's a full size, so it'll make it for a better comparison against me against these other welterweights. But I think he's gonna be really surprised when I step in there and how big I actually am, and the amount of weight that I can move around and how strong I'm gonna be.
I know you still got a couple weeks to prepare for D-Rod, but like how much did change for training camp? So you're preparing for a high level wrestler and
Yeah.
Sean Brady to D-Rod, who kind of likes to go out and stand and bang.
Yes, it's a whole different style that you got to fight against. So we had to change up some things. Different training partners. You know, he's southpaw, really good boxer, and really good basics with his boxing too. So you gotta prepare for that. You know, so some things changed up, but you know, he's taking this fight on 3 weeks notice as well. So I think I can adjust his style a whole lot more than he can adjust to mine. It's going to be very hard for him to combat everything I can bring to the table in 3 weeks.
Oh, what is kind of training like? Because I know when we talked before the Brady fight, like you couldn't go to Montreal. Like, I'm up in Canada. I know it's kind of hard to get across the border. So is it just all been in Vegas still?
Yeah, it's all been in Vegas, and just you know, over video and stuff like that with Faraz. He'll be in my corner for the fight. Um, yeah, but it's all been in Vegas, and which has been good. He's been training here, so I know a lot of guys that know him personally and know his style, and that helps a little bit.
Well, what will the corner be for you?
I'm going with Faraz Zahabi, my longtime trainer Dewey Cooper, and a guy I've been working with for years, Eddie Baracco, who's kind of been a guy behind the scenes.
This fight, like, how much pressure is on you? Just because you're kind of this big name, D-Rod isn't well known. Like, I think a lot of people are kind of expect you to go out and win, and then plus it's your first fight since like the double knee surgery and you're trying to get
Yeah.
back in the win column.
Yes, it's some pressure, but I feel like that's what's gonna make me. You know, that's what makes me rise to it. I've been in huge events before, big events. I've made big events before, so this is just another one of that. It's a different it's different circumstances surrounding the fight. I think a lot of people are counting me out. I think a lot of people are overlooking me. Um, but to me, I'm gonna make history with this one. You know, nobody's ever came back from double knee surgery in 12 months and competed at this level. So to me, this is all history, and I'm here to show that I'm the best in the world.
How do you see this fight playing out? Because Rodriguez is a very durable guy. Like, he's never been finished, neither of his losses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna beat him bell to bell. I'm gonna beat his ass. That's all. That's all anybody needs to know. I think I bring way more skills to the table. I think I have way more ways to win the fight. So at the end of the day, the more well-rounded fighter will win. We both got heart. We both got that grit and that kind of want to get after it. So we'll see. We'll see how this works out. But I think skills win.
I was looking, and I think this is what your like second 3-round fight of the past like 8 or 9. Like you've had a lot of main events. Like, well, what's that kind of like now? Only having to go 3 rounds, you can push a pretty hard pace.
Yeah, it's a little different. The pace is going to be intense. I don't think he's ready for that level of pace because I can shrink what I've been doing in 4 and 5 rounds down into 3. And it's going to be very, very hard to beat me in a 3-round fight. So, yeah, it's going to be intense. I'm kind of looking forward to that part of it. Before I fought or after I fought Gillespie, I even said I didn't want to go up to a main event status yet, and I didn't want to fight at a world champion level. And my next fight, I fought a world champion. So, and I'm more than prepared for this one. More than prepared.
What do you think a win over Rodriguez does for you and puts you in the welterweight division? Just because you are ranked at lightweight, like you're a big name, even though D-Rod's not ranked, like I assume a ranked guy would probably be next.
Yeah, I mean, I feel I'm already top 5 in this division. When you look at skill for skill, and that's what it's going to show after this fight. It's going to show a level difference.
Do you already have a call out in mind? You're someone that likes to call out some people.
Come on, I gotta save some stuff for TV. If you want to know that, watch on ESPN. This is a big fight for me. It's a big fight, so that's where all my focus is, and I'm gonna lead that for after the fight. It's live on ESPN, baby.
Are you hoping to get one more in this year, just because this is your first fight of the year, and try to be active?
Yeah, I would like at least one more this year. I feel like I'm hitting a good stride. I see why so many people do so well after coming off of surgery. I feel in better shape. I feel my stride is better. My routine is better. So yeah, I would like at least one more and not break that cycle for sure.
When you first moved up to welterweight, like you were kind of always hinting about a move back to lightweight. Now that you're kind of fully focused on welterweight, like do you think that's only gonna help you out and make you like that full size welterweight? Because before, like when you fight RDA, like I remember talking to you, you didn't want to get too big because you always thought it'd move back down to lightweight.
Yeah, and I thought about it halfway through the fight too. That this isn't my right weight class. There's a couple things that come up even before that fight. I was already thinking I'm going back down. Now that I've made the decision to, it's allowed me to put on that size and really just grow into the frame. I think some of our body size and everything comes from our mental too. So I feel like my body size and strength has really grown into a full welterweight.
Just a couple more things. Do you think that Mike Perry fight ever happened? Or do you think he win this one? You're probably too far ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, it might happen, but at this point, since he didn't want it, or even put up, any type of interest towards the fight, then I'm not gonna give it to him no more. I mean, if he want to fight, he can see me. That fight's a little more personal than anything. So, he claims he's from Michigan and all this and Flint. So, all my people out there, all my cousins and stuff, we don't recognize the dude. So if he see me, then maybe we might fight. But and I'll take the money out of his pocket. But we I don't know. We'll see. We'll see we'll see if he can put together a win or two, or even next, whatever. I'll do it. But we'll see.
What are your thoughts on the welterweight division? Because you look at Usman, like he's kind of just running through everyone. Like he's kind of running out of options. Like he's already getting to territory where he has to rematch a lot of guys. But coming up, like you have like Luque's up there. Like it's a still very deep division.
Yeah, that's what excites me about this. It's a wide open division. I think, you got the guy at the top. Usman's no joke. I think right now he's number 1 pound for pound, so he's gonna be the guy that I chase. But beyond that, he needs challengers, and I feel like there's nobody else in this weight class that has my style that can take it to him. So I'm excited to put together a few wins and show that I'm the guy to beat him.
Do you think he beats Colby?
Yeah, I think he beats Colby. It's gonna be a harder fight. It's gonna be a harder fight than the than the one before. He's gonna have to show some new wrinkles in his game. I don't think he can keep relying on the same old same old. So yeah, I think he beats him, but he's gonna show some new stuff.
Not even because I'm just talking to you. I think like Colby, yourself, you're probably like the two toughest matchups just because you need to be able to have that same wrestling just to match Usman. Because if you're like we saw with Mazel, if you're just a really good striker, like he'll just take you down, and then you're so scared of the takedowns, and his striking is a lot better. But I think that's kind of the style. Like, how do you think you kind of match up against Usman?
Yeah, I feel like you at least have to have the threat of the takedown. Being underneath somebody like me is a nightmare, and you know he's gonna know that. You know, Masvidal isn't a threat of a takedown. Kobe is, but Kobe more so pushes you up against the fence and just kind of wears on you and wears on you and wears on you. It's even a different style than what I bring. I think my jiu-jitsu is a lot more complete than a lot of those guys. The last guy I say that he had that threat against was RDA, but he was just a better wrestler than it. So I bring a lot of things to the table that he's never seen before, and you know people on the outside don't really recognize that. You know, it's one of the things about Khabib that people are just now starting to see. Like people just now, I'm starting to hear like some little, okay, maybe this dude wasn't as good as we thought he was. And I've been saying it the whole time. He never really fought somebody who had that wrestling threat. And I think Masvidal or Usman needs that too in his career. And I'm here for it.
Just last thing I want to ask you about is I know you trained GSP when you're up in Montreal. What do you think of that whole thing when he was possibly going to come back to box De La Hoya?
Yeah. I remember hearing about that when he told me. And I like that fight. I did like it, but you know, I guess the UFC just don't want to work with De La Hoya at all, or use anybody that the UFC is built against them. I don't know. The fight isn't happening, so I don't really have much say to it. But it kind of sucks that we don't get to see that fight. You would have saw two legends, and it kind of sucks that they have that much power over us.
All right, well, Kevin, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this.
Always.
All right, we're joined by former Bellator fighter and now professional boxer Anthony Taylor. Anthony, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great. I feel great. I look great. I am great. I'm great.
Just a kind of a wild kind of past like 6 months, really, like, or not even 6 months, probably since like March when Jake Paul flies you down to spar him. Like, did you ever think it would get to this point where now you and Jake are good training partners and he's the one that brings this fight on?
Man, I manifested this day because I knew I was like, okay, if I fly out to Miami in March, April, and I put on a show in the sparring session, maybe he want to invite me over for his next camp if he has another fight, which I impressed coaches, I impressed Jake and his team. And look, they brought me back on for the Tyron Woodley fight to help him get ready for that fight as his main sparring partner.
And this Tommy Fury fight kind of came out of nowhere. Like, Tommy's a guy that everyone was kind of waiting for him to make his big US debut. That's a lot of big thing for the English fighters. And he's been calling out Jake. Then he signs with Showtime, a 2-fight deal. And you're his first fight. Like, what kind of went through your head when you found out you'd be fighting him?
Man, like, you know, when I canceled my 2 professional other fights in MMA, Jake was like, hey, I have an opportunity I want you to have. I'm like, what's going on? You heard of Tommy Fury? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I want you to fight this guy. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. You done so good in my camp, and I'm just amazed how good of a boxer you are and how you're able to help me out. I want to give you the opportunity to change your life. Take on this fight, beat Tommy Fury so you can stop saying my name. I don't care who this guy is. Beat him for me. You know? And that's the opportunity that I have, Cole. Like, I have the opportunity to shock the world, change the world, and I got ambition. Not like his opponents that he's fought. No ambition and doesn't fight back.
And you look at who you fought. Like, some people look at your record. It's a lot more impressive now, 7-5, especially just the way you started your MMA career. But you look at the guys you fought: James Gallagher, Adam Borics, like Dean Barry's, like one of McGregor's guys, hyped up guy. Like, you fought a lot of tough guys early on in your career. Like, how much do you think that's gonna help you prepare for this moment where you're really Tommy Fury's first real test? Like, you look at who he's fought. It's a lot of guys that have they're like 1-30 he's fighting.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at Tommy Fury. Like, how do you go 4 rounds with a guy who's 10 wins and 126 losses? Then your second fight, 0-26. Then your third fight, 2-26, 0-11, 0-9. He was supposed to fight a guy who was 0-14, but he took criticism, so they had to find a guy on a 2-day notice who wasn't even in shape to fight Tommy. And it's like, yo, you're fighting a guy who actually wins now. You're not fighting no tin can, no bum. Just because I fought MMA, don't make you think you're just going to steamroll over me. It doesn't work like that, buddy. I'm more experienced in the combat session. You're only 22 years old. You haven't even broken into your baby bones yet when it comes to the fighting scene. You're just fighting these journeymen who get paid to fight.
You've kind of fought like all over the world, 2 different weight classes. I know you're mostly lightweight. Tommy's going to be a bit bigger. What weight class is this at?
This is at 180. It's technically a light heavyweight 175, but they just want to promote it as cruiserweight. So we did a catchweight at 180. So Tommy cannot go over 180 pounds, which is good for me because Tommy probably walks around 210, 220. He got to lose to 40 pounds. I'm just losing 5 pounds for this fight because I walk around between 190 and 185 naturally. And a lot of people criticize me. Oh, well, he fought at 145. He fought at 155. Well, people don't know how much weight I got to drop. People criticize me of my height. Oh, you're 5'7". Well, Tommy's only 5 inches taller than me. And everybody in Bellator and in my whole MMA career, they were 5'11", 6 feet. What's the difference?
With Tommy too, like, do you not think him cutting all that extra weight and you just fighting at your natural weight, like, it's going to be a big cardio difference if you can bring this to the later rounds? Like, you're going to be the one putting the pace on.
Oh, absolutely. Tommy mindset is this: I go to Cleveland, I face off with Jake Paul. I'm like, hello, buddy, you got to fight that night. You're forgetting, like, just don't put me on the back burner and forget that you're fighting me. And he's underestimating me. The whole boxing community is underestimating me. The only people who actually care is the MMA community. Like, yo, this guy's never fought nobody. He's fought bums. He has a tough fight. Even Jake says, Jake already know I'm going to beat this guy by unanimous or split. I'm going to beat Tommy Fury. It's nothing that I've seen from that Tommy Fury guy that I've seen in any boxer. Like, for Christ's sake, I spar with Rampage in 4-ounce gloves.
Yeah.
How you going to tell me this guy, is going to beat me? He just thinks he's going to flatline me in 10 seconds. It's just not going to happen.
And with Tommy Fury too, like, you take his last name out of the way or Tyson never bringing him up, and he wouldn't have gotten this big spotlight at all.
Right? No, absolutely. Like, we've never even heard of Tommy until Tyson even brought his name up. It's like, bro, if your brother really cared about you, he would have promoted you on your very first fight. Hey, my little brother is making his pro debut against a guy who's 10 wins and 126 losses. Come on, man. Like, you're not even a prospect. You say I have 7 to 10 amateur fights. Come on, bro. Anybody can have 7 to 20 amateur fights at the age of 5. Doesn't mean you're a prospect. You haven't fought nobody. Those guys are paid to lose, and if they win, they're going to be blacklisted in the community of boxing. Tommy is fighting his first real fight, and I'm not about to lose. I'm taking this opportunity to the max. I'm going to beat this kid, and if he ever wants a rematch, I'm willing to give it to him in England, beat him up in front of his whole family, and prove a point that, hey, I'm a better boxer than you, and you're like 70 pounds bigger, way more than me.
How I kind of think this fight could go, like, I just want to hear your thoughts on it. I think Tommy, like you mentioned, totally overlooking you. He thinks he's going to Cleveland. I'm going to whoop this guy in the first or second round. Jake Paul beats Woodley. We're going to face off. That fight's going to happen later this year. I wouldn't be surprised if third round hits, you're still there, and Tommy's already gassed himself out because he went for the quick knockout, and he's like, oh, shit, now I got to go another 3 rounds, and then you just kind of bring it on him those final 3. That's kind of how I see it playing out.
Absolutely. He doesn't train with killers. He doesn't spar with his brother. Why would he spar with Tyson? Tyson's not going to get him better. Tyson is sparring with the best of the best. Just because he's sparring with a couple guys, like, look, I've been sparring all my career. My discipline in mixed martial arts is boxing, wrestling. Whenever I have a fight camp, I go to professional boxing gyms and I spar with guys who are 6 feet because all my opponents are 6 feet, 5'11", either or. You know, I got AJ McKee in my corner. He's helping me out with my striking tremendously. I got Baby Slice, I got Rampage. I got much more fighters, not just MMA fighters. There's also boxers that I work with, like Kareem Mayfield. A lot of these experienced guys that I've worked with. And a lot of people are just overlooking me because I'm an 0-1 pro. Like, they don't know what I went through in 2017. I went through a dark time in 2017. I'm on a 5-5 win streak in MMA, and I'm here to prove a point. I'm not here to prove a point to just Tommy. I'm here to prove a point to Showtime. I'm here to prove a point to Bellator. I'm here to prove a point to UFC, PFL, to everybody in the world. Like, hey, MMA fighters can also box too.
Hey, is this just a one-fight deal with Showtime?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, if I win this fight, most likely the MMA community might not see me in 2 years. But if I win this fight, which I know I will, who knows if Tommy wants a rematch. But if he does want a rematch, I'll be willing to give him a rematch and beat him. Definitely.
How do you see yourself getting your hand raised? Because like we mentioned, we haven't seen his cardio go 6 rounds, and especially with that big weight cut. Like, do you think he can get that late stop, or do you think it's most like going to be a decision?
Man, he's not. Look, it's going to be either a TKO in the 3rd round or the 2nd, or I win by unanimous decision. I'm too quick for him. I have power like a heavyweight, and a lot of people don't know that. If you see my fights in all MMA, if you notice, all my opponents are damaged in the face. I move around a lot. I have great cardio. There's nothing that he's going to do that I haven't seen. Like, he's not special. The only thing he carries is just the last name Fury. That's the only thing that's special. I see this fight being dominated by me and overwhelming him with power and speed. People's going to say what they want to say about me. Let them. But they've been doing that my whole career. I'm on a 5-5 win streak. People say I couldn't go to Ireland and beat Dean Barry. People say I couldn't go to England and beat Mike Ells, who was 5-0. People say I want to be able to beat Chris Avila, who's Nate Diaz's boy, who was in the UFC. People doubted me all the time, and I've stated it all in my posts. I'm going to shock the world in all 5 of my posts. Look where I'm at. I'm in a better position now.
Are you back in California finishing up the last training camp, or are you going to go back down to Puerto Rico?
Oh, no, I'm back. I just got back from Puerto Rico 2 days ago. I'm back with Antonio McKee and AJ. We're going to be finishing up. We're going to be going to Jackrabbit Boxing Gym to finish up the camp. Pretty much is what it is. I'm getting my cardio up. I'm working on form. I'm pretty much in shape. I'm ready to go 6 rounds right now. If they say, hey, get in. I got my medicals done. I'm ready to go. I got my team. We're ready to go right now, Cole. It's just, you're just giving me 3 more weeks to fine-tune my skills.
I think it's fair to say this is the biggest fight of your life. Like, I think you win this, big boxing fights happen. I think the UFC would be interested. Bellator would obviously be interested in bringing back. So, like, how much do you think, like, looking like you get your hand raised, like what's the future? I don't think it could be any brighter for you once you get your hand raised.
This could be a future where me and Adonis Creed fight. You know what I'm saying? Like the Creed 3, Creed 4. This can be a future. This opens up doors not just in the combat, but also entertainment purposes. Because I tell people, hey, I'm not a fighter. I'm an entertainer.
Yep.
An entertainer does it all. Act, model, fight, everything, Hopefully, Sylvester Stallone and Michael B. Jordan is watching this fight because, look, I'm the real Adonis Creed. I'm Adonis Creed fighting Pretty Ricky Callahan from England, who is this underdog fighting this superstar in England. I'm the real Adonis Creed. This is the real-life Rocky movie right here. The underdog fighting this big brute. / Ivan Drago's son or something. I'm going to take advantage of that. And a lot of these, and the whole world is going to see how good I really am. And, I have nothing to prove to nobody because I've been in the combat sports for so long. All I got to prove is myself, to prove myself like, hey, I'm a good fighter. Go out there and do what you got to do.
Have you seen the betting lines for your fight?
I've seen one, but what's the odds?
He is minus 1,300. You are plus 710, which I think are crazy.
I think they're stupid because, and look, I've been the underdog my whole career since I got into Bellator. It doesn't faze me. Look, I'm not being the one being pressured. Everything is on him. He's coming to America. Everybody's expecting him to win. His family's like, if you don't beat this guy, give up boxing. Because you can't beat a 145-pounder MMA fighter. You're a disgrace. There's no pressure on me. I've been in this field for a long time. I fought in Ireland. I fought in Budapest. I fought in England. Like, I go to people's backyard and I pull it out the hat. I'm just good at what I do. I talk crap and I lay it down.
Just a couple more things. Like, working with Jake Paul, what's that been like? 'Cause I think he gets a lot of crap just because people think, oh, he's a YouTuber. But for 3 years or more, this guy just put everything into boxing. Like, he doesn't do YouTube anymore. He's a professional boxer now, and I think it's like people are going to start to realize
he's not even a YouTuber. He's a boxer now, Cole. This guy dedicates literally 3 years as if he's been doing it for 6.5, 7 years. The guy trains 6 days a week. I'm with him every single day training. He trains 6 days a week. He trains 3 times a day, 6 hours out the days. The guy puts in his work. He puts in his craft. Only time he's on YouTube is when they're uploading, the daily videos that he's going through. That's the only time he's putting things on video on YouTube. The guy is an amazing striker, boxer, I would say. The guy has great footwork, good head movements, good hand speed. The guy just knows how to put it together. He's a natural athlete. I mean, anybody who dedicates themselves to 3 years to boxing, 3 times a day, you're going to see results. And Jake is one of those guys where you're going to see results. And Cole, don't be surprised if you see him fight Canelo in 3 years. Don't be surprised. Jake is a bona fide star in boxing. He's a top 10 talk in boxing right now. If you name me 10 guys in boxing without saying Jake Paul, you can't even call them out. You got Canelo, you got Tyson, Deontay, Javante, you have Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. Of course, you're going to put Jake Paul in that top 10 of conversations in boxing. I'm going to be that guy too. MMA and boxing. I'm going to be a top 10 guy people talk about in MMA and boxing because I can do it both. Look, what Jake talks about, fighter pay and all that, I mean, that's good. People can understand the difference of money in organizations, because he sees it. He sees the opportunity. He wants people to shine and grow. Whatever he does with Dana White, that's on him. I'm not in the UFC, so I can't speak on that because I don't know what the people in the UFC go through. I don't know their contract structure. So I don't speak on fighters' pay because I'm not in that position. I'm here trying to be employed, But so far I can do is talk about Showtime because I'm fighting on Showtime. And just know I'm going to put on one hell of a show. And I guarantee you, Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester Stallone is going to be there watching me like, yo, that's the guy. That's the guy right there.
With this fight too, like just like you mentioned, I have a lot of friends, like just casual combat sport fans. They'll text me to watch my house, like for McGregor, Masvidal, Adesanya, like Tyson Fury, Wilder, and Jake Paul. Anytime Jake Paul fights, they're texting me to come watch because like that's how much he's already like captivated that audience. But with Jake Paul too, like I know we're both MMA guys. I think this is probably my first prediction out loud. I think he knocks out Woodley in like the first or second. I think Woodley's probably just going to overlook him. I think he's just going to kind of just rush him in. I think Jake Paul is a really good technical boxer and has a lot of power. Like, how do you kind of see that fight playing out?
It can either go 2 ways: unanimous decision or first round TKO. Depending on Woodley cardio is not the best when it comes to striking. I see Jake winning by TKO in the 4th round. Now, me and Woodley, we have the same striking coach, Antonio McKee, for years. I personally don't know Woodley. I've never trained with the guy, never met the guy. But I can tell you I do know Jake. I've lived with the guy. I trained with the guy. I ate with him and his team and his family. You know, I can tell you about his skill set. He's going to win. Hands down. The man puts in that work and that dedication on what he does. And this guy's taking care of me. I'm going to tell you something, right? A lot of people don't know. I've been paid more money being in this training camp, sparring with Jake, than I did combined in MMA for the past 6 years.
That's crazy.
That's, bro. And I fought for Bellator 5 times.
Yeah.
5 times. And I've been paid more in 3 months training with Jake than I did in my whole entire career.
And he also set up the big pay I assume you're getting for with this fight too.
Man, look, you manifest these things, good things is going to come and happen. Like not too long ago, I used to idolize DC. And in 2019, I was training, sparring with DC like crazy. And I got the picture and everything. And, you know, I don't know if he remembers that. But, man, I remember him saying, like, yo, I'm sparring with him. Yo, what weight class are you, yes, sir? I was like, oh, 145. He's like, man, you hit like a truck. And we started laughing, you know. And then, you know, John Finch was like, hey, I want you in my camp. You're strong. Come in my camp with me. You know, I manifest these things because I got a good heart and I work hard. You know, you can't cut corners in MMA and boxing. You can in boxing, and look where Tommy Fury's at. You know, he cut those corners 6-0 with those opponents. You can cut corners in boxing, but eventually it's going to catch up to you.
And that's the thing too, which I don't get with Jake Paul, is so many people knock him. They're like, oh, he's fighting Ben Askren or he's fighting Nate Robinson. Look at Canelo Alvarez, Mike Tyson, any boxer's first 10 fights, it's guys that are like 0-4, 0-5. Jake Paul is fighting better people in his first 3 fights than most of the boxing champions have fought in their first like 15 fights.
Right. No, absolutely. You know, Jake has done a tremendous job. Him and his team has done a very good job on their opponents. You know, it's not my fault a lot of these MMA fighters want to fight him. It's not my fault. Mm-hmm. You don't hear professional boxers talking bad about Jake. Oh, Jake sucks. He's so. You name one boxer who criticized Jake saying he's bad for the sport. He's not a good fighter. None. It's all MMA fighters. So if you guys got something to prove, it's not like he's fighting a top 20 UFC fighter who just signed to the UFC with a record of 10 wins and 7 losses. It's not. He's fought champions in the UFC, guys who are very well known. You know, he's not fighting bums. You know, he's fighting guys who are well established in the MMA community. You know, it's not my fault that boxers are not calling him out. They're giving him his props. They're due. Make your money, young fella. You working hard. We see it. A lot of these MMA fighters are just thinking, oh, he's a YouTuber. Look, Cole, I see a lot of these MMA fighters and boxers coming to Jake Paul camp as sparring partners. A lot of them talk crap. He's a YouTuber. And this is my reaction when I see it. You just got beat up, buddy, by Jake. Ooh. You know, I can't speak on that, but I'm just saying, like, I see it happen. You know, Jake is doing a tremendous job. And he wants to be a champion. As long as he keeps doing what he's doing, he'll become a champion. When you believe in yourself and you put in that hard work to believe in yourself, those dreams will come true. Mine's ass.
Just last question. You kind of brought him up a couple times. AJ McKee, seeing him win the Bellator title, like, what was that like? I thought he would beat Pitbull. I didn't think he would run through him like that quickly.
I knew that AJ was going to beat him in the first round because I see the drive that AJ has. Like, me and AJ, we were amateurs together. We turned pro together. You know, not on the same card, but different card, but we turned pro together. And I've been AJ's smart partner for like 6 years now. Me and Pitbull are the same height. We have the same reach. Who do you think's been AJ's main sparring partner at 145 this whole time? Me. Yeah. So we've been really consistent on that. Every time I would spar AJ, I would get him to say, "I'm Pitbull. Come take my belt." And AJ just turn up. Okay, turn up. AJ has done a really good job. But first of all, let's give credit to Antonio McKee for turning AJ into a monster and the way he handles everything. The press, the media, the way he handles it and how he handles his son. You know, he's done a fine job with AJ McKee. And AJ has done a really good job in handling everything, the media itself. He's articulating a lot of things, and people are like, hey, this is an educated fighter. You know, AJ is growing, he's learning, and you can never stop learning in martial arts. There will always forever be teaching in martial arts. And AJ's a baby in it. We're all babies in this game. You know, AJ's done a really good job, and I already knew he was going to take out Pitbull because AJ finished fast and he ends fast. There's no stopping with AJ. AJ comes and goes and he's ready. And he just done a really good job with AJ for this fight camp. The way he had his sparring partners, and the way he handles things. Slices is getting better. Slice got a fight coming up. Joey's getting better. We don't know when Joey's fight is, but Raja, who's Rampage's son, he's getting better. We have a lot of people. Josh Jones, who's up and coming in Bellator. Then we have Gabe Green, who's in the UFC. Antonio does really good with the fighters, and he's done really well with AJ. And AJ's been a team captain who's been captain of the boat, leading us all, egging us on. Like, hey, let's work hard together, and that's where we get our intentions from. Is in AJ and Antonio.
All right, well, Anthony, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Cole. Thank you.
Yeah, August 29th. People got to tune in. Showtime.
Yes, showtime, baby. Let's get it.
All right, we're joined by UFC middleweight still, Sam Alvey. Sam, how's it going?
Oh, doing wonderful, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. You're supposed to fight, obviously, that July 31st card. Your opponent can't visa issues. Like, were you hoping to stay on that card, or was it always they were going to move you to a different date?
No, I couldn't. I wanted to fight then. I did, and they couldn't find anyone that was willing to take the fight on a week's notice, which I can't blame anyone. I'm the only guy in the UFC that takes week notice fights. But no, they moved me as close as they could get me, and I'm looking forward to this one now too.
Something I have to bring up. It's in past like 3 interviews we've done. You've kept on mentioning this is do or die for my UFC career. Like, are you surprised that you are getting one more?
Yes, surprised. Thankful is a better word for it. I am so incredibly thankful and blessed that the UFC wants to give me this last shot. I couldn't imagine I couldn't imagine being where I am right now, but let alone getting one more chance. They see something in me. I mean, of my last 6 non-wins, they've all been great. They've all been fire. My last fight was fight of the night even, and I think that helped quite a bit.
I also think the draw against Jung, I think most people, including myself, I thought you won that. I think maybe the UFC is looking at maybe you won that fight. So it's only one loss in a row then.
Yeah, and so I lost my last one, Darwin Young. That one was I got robbed on that one, and then the one before that against Ryan Spann. Even that one, I watched it. I think I won. It was closer. I don't make a big stink about that one, but I think I won that one too, and I lost a split decision instead. But the Darwin Young is definitely they did me dirty. Not the judges, not the UFC did me dirty.
Your second fight back at middleweight. I remember when we were talking before Marquez. You admitted the weight cut's not fun, but the guys are too big at 205. So do you think middleweight is your natural weight class then?
Yeah. I might go up to 205 again if they ever need me to go to 70. I really don't want to, but the UFC asks. I've never said no before. But middleweight I'm a big middleweight. I'm happy to be big.
Your opponent, how much do you know about Wellington Turman?
I don't know where he's from. I think Brazil, but his name is Wellington. And so I keep saying, I'm fighting this British Brazilian guy. So, I've seen his fights. He's a stud. He's got some good jiu-jitsu, some strong wrestling. He's very explosive. But he's got some weaknesses too I'm hoping to pick up on.
His last 2 fights, he got knocked out in the first round. He's like a guy where if he can't get to the fight down on the ground, like there's a lot of holes striking wise. Is that kind of what you see? Is you think you might be able to catch him?
Kind of, except every time he gets knocked out, he's on the ground when he gets knocked out.
Yeah.
Like he gets the takedown and then he gets knocked out. No, you know what? I hit hard. I'm sure he's aware of that. I'm sure they're practicing right this very second on not getting hit by me. But I got to make sure that come fight day, I touch him.
A bit disappointed you're just on one of the cards of the Apex. They are having fans in there, but obviously not as much as there would be in a pay-per-view event.
Yeah, I hate the Apex. The cage is so small. I mean, I like fighting in front of people, and that's, not in the Apex either. But the cage is so small. There's the pay-per-view sized cage. There's the fight night sized cage, and then smaller than that is the Apex cage. And I wasn't ready for that going into my last fight. I'm ready for it now, though.
I saw on social media too, you are kind of been away from your family for a while because they're out in, I think, Nashville, is it? And you're out in California. Like, well, what's that kind of been like, not seeing them in a while?
I'm just bored. I've got 5 kids and a beautiful wife that likes doing stuff. And now I get to go home and I talk to you.
Yeah.
Not that you're not great, but I miss my kids. It's been a month and a half. It'll be 2 months since I see them. Next time I really get to see them. And it's just I'm bored. I'm ready. I wanted to fight, 3 weeks ago, and now it's 2 or 3 weeks from now.
Definitely not as good as your wife and kids. I can probably attest to that. But this fight, like, how much pressure is on you, or is it the fact that you've already kind of dealt with this the past 2 fights, where you think you're fighting for your job, that it's just another fight now?
Even the last ones were just another fight. It's whether it's for my job or for something else. I have to win. I need to provide for my family, and so the pressure's there. But it's never affected the way I fight. It's never affected the way I performed before. So I'm looking forward to just getting out there and getting my career straightened out.
How do you see yourself getting your hand raised?
It'll probably be my right hand that goes up. I think I'm going to be blue corner, so I'm usually on first left shoulder, and it'll be my right hand.
Is this a fight? Most of your fights, you get the knockout. Is this something similar you think here?
Yeah. If I can submit him, I'll submit him. If I can knock him out, I'll knock him out. The one thing I guarantee is it's going to be great. I won the bonus in my last fight, and that bonus money is it's intoxicating. I mean, it is like, I need that again, to go from winning what you're going to win to getting an extra $50,000. Just incredible.
No Mark Goddard reffing, I assume.
No Mark Goddard reffing. I don't know that they're going to ever try and give him to me again, but I'm prepared to say no thank you.
What do you think a win over Wellington does for you? Is it more just get back in the win column and start?
Yeah, you know what it does more than anything else? It puts me in the win column. It puts me in the opportunity to fight for the UFC again, and I think I'm 2 or 3 wins away from being secure in my career, with the UFC. But this next win gets me in the win column, and I'm looking forward to just starting that train rolling.
You get your hand raised here. Like, are you hoping for a quick turnaround? You're a guy that I know likes to be active. Are you going to spend some time with the family and kind of take a couple months off?
Yeah. I am a guy that likes to fight a lot, but I've been in camp for like 16 weeks now.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of this. But I really do want to just go hang out in Tennessee for a little bit. It's my new home that I haven't even seen yet. My dad is out there helping my wife build it, or repair it anyways. And I'm supposed to be there doing the same thing, but the fight fate didn't line up for me.
Are you hoping, no matter what happens, your next fight put yourself on a pay-per-view so you can be in front of that sold-out crowd?
Oh, I hope that just people in the world just get sick of abiding by the CDC rules and just start doing what everybody knows should be done. So whether it's in front of a pay-per-view or a smaller fight night kind of thing, put the fans back in. Put the fans back in.
How much does that change you fighting? Like, do you think that impacts fighters and fighting in front of no crowd or with the crowd? Because obviously when you land a big punch, you hurt them. Like, you hear the crowd kind of give you that energy.
I love fighting in front of the crowd, but I don't know that it affects my fighting all that much. I like doing it because without the fans, I don't have a job. It's without impressing them. I like giving back to them however I can. And it's unfortunate when they can't be there to watch what they love watching. So I'm really looking forward to being able to perform for them again.
Do you really have anyone in mind of who you want to fight next, or is it more just whoever the UFC offers, and if there's a short notice fight that comes up?
I'll have a call out. I really did like that fight I was supposed to have instead of Marquez. I was supposed to fight Zach Cummings. I like that matchup. I hope he's all right. I didn't hear how his doctors and all that went, but he seemed like just a great guy. He's got a great team, and it's a fight I think I'd really enjoy having.
205, is that still not out of the picture? Like that's something that you'll just be bouncing back between 205 and 185?
I'm a guy, if the UFC needs me at 205, if there's a last minute fallout, if Teixeira gets hurt and they need me to fight Jan, I said, all right, I'll take one for the team and I'll go up and I'll win that title.
Your weight cut to 185, like, do you mostly do it all on fight week, or do you start dieting down like now, or how do you kind of go about it?
I walk around 230-ish most of the time between camps. I'll get to about 230. So I can't do all that week of. Week of, I'll do 15 to 25, somewhere in there, depending on the fight camp. This one should be pretty easy because I've had forever to cut it now that my fight got pushed back. But yeah, it's something I've done so many times. I'm just ready to do it again.
Just a couple more things. Cutting all that weight, what's the first meal that you're going to eat after the fight?
After the fight, cereal. I'm gonna have cereal. Yeah, that'll be my immediate go-to. And I'll have boxes of it: Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Captain Crunch, Golden Grams. Love it all.
Is your wife coming down for the fight? Is she gonna be in your corner again?
Oh yeah. She's only missed the one because of COVID, but she'll be there every time.
Just last thing I want to talk to you about is Sean Strickland. I know you work a lot with him. What was that like to see? That was a dominant performance over Uriah Hall.
Yeah, it makes me feel great about myself because when I do 5 rounds with him, I do a little better than Uriah did. But I'm so proud of him. He works. I mean, he works as hard as anyone I've ever seen, and to have him, be able to show off like that is just incredible. And plus, he's going to be the middleweight champion. He's going to be there, I'm going to say, by 2022, he's the champion. I think I honestly think the only one in the division that gives him a hard time is Adesanya.
Hey, and he's rumored to be fighting Luke Rockhold, which is a massive fight for him. And I think that's a fight that Sean probably wins, and probably wins by knockout.
Yeah. Sean toys with him, I think, and I like Luke. Good fighter. I've met him once or twice. Good guy, but it's in Sean's post-fight interview, they were asking about him fighting. Who's the other middleweight that talks a lot when he fights?
Kevin Holland.
Say, hey, well, you guys talk a lot. And Sean said, I'm on a 5-fight winning streak. He's on a 2-fight skid. I mean, I'm fine with fighting anyone, but I probably shouldn't fight that guy. And then Luke Rockhold gets brought up, who's on a 3 or 4-fight skid, I think. And Sean says, yeah, let's do it. It's because Sean knows it's an easy paycheck. Knows it's like I only kind of have to train for that one.
What's it like working with him? Because he's a guy, like, in all his fights, he just keeps coming forward. He gets hit, and he'll just keep marching forward with that boxing. And, like, it doesn't look like he gets tired. Like, I assume he's probably a pain to train with.
Oh, he's exhausting. He is. I mean, it is my hardest rounds going with him, which is why I love going with him. When I know I can go 5 rounds with him, I can go 5 rounds with anyone. And it's hard to get to 5 rounds with him. He's got so much volume.
And just last thing is with Sean, like, do you think a lot of people are kind of overlooking him and not thinking he's that serious contender? Do you think that last fight kind of proved that he's a top guy?
I think people are overlooking him. Here's my pig needed to go out. He's the guy. People are overlooking him because he's not getting that incredible finish on Uriah Hall. Had he finished Uriah in the 4th, I think people would give him a lot more respect right now. But because it went to a decision, I think people aren't quite sold on him. But they don't know how good he is. I mean, I followed him around, and although if he and I were to ever fight, I'd knock him out. I've seen the way he plays with everybody else.
And pure boxing, like, I think he is the best, like, just pure boxing in the middleweight division. And then his ground game is so underrated. Like, it's hard for him to get taken down.
Yeah, he doesn't get taken down, and there's not a person on the planet with a better top pressure than him. And it's funny because his top pressure is he doesn't want to submit you. He calls it the coward's way out. He wants to make you hurt. Like, if ever he gets me down, which I think has probably happened once. I mean, he's doing his hammer fists and stuff from the back, and I'll give him the neck because I'm sick of being here. Just take it, and he won't freaking take it. He cross faces instead, so he can get on mount, and then he can hit me more. Like, I'll tap. Just let me go.
All right, well, Sam, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, you're very welcome, my friend.
All right, we're joined by Tough 29 finale, middleweight Bryan Battle. Bryan, how's it going, man?
It's going well, man. You know, it's a beautiful day outside. I'm getting ready to go to war next Saturday. So, you know, it's a good time to be alive. You know what I mean? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Like, we're 8 days out from your fight. Like, what's it like thinking you're 8 days away from your UFC debut and possibly becoming the next Ultimate Fighter?
Well, I want to take the possibly out of there. I'm going to become the next Ultimate Fighter at 185 pounds, but it's weird. I mean, you know, I've had enough fights that at this point it's really it'll start setting in when I get to Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Like right now I'm just preparing, I'm just doing all the work, I'm just doing all the gritty stuff, and when I get to Vegas it'll really start setting in the magnitude of what I'm about to get into. But right now, you know, I'm still in North Carolina. I'm still at my apartment, still driving my regular car. So nothing's really changed over here. It's just work over here, you know.
Have you been getting noticed more since like the show aired?
Yeah, after the first episode, people, I would have said I was an F-level celebrity, friends and family only. You know what I'm saying? Like people who had known me in the past, they were really excited to know me now. But after the second episode, that's when people who I didn't know would like come up to me and they'd be like, "Oh, are you on The Ultimate Fighter? Are you Bryan Battle?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, I am Bryan Battle." I'm like, "Yeah, I was on The Ultimate Fighter, yeah." But for the most part, it's been pretty chill. You know, if I go to like one of my teammates' fights or something where there's a lot of MMA fans, then it is like I feel like, you know, I was on Jersey Shore or something like that. You know, feel like I was on like a really big time reality TV show. But no, it's cool. It's cool though.
I know you guys filmed like, when was it, like April or May-ish around there, but like, so how hard has it been for you not able to tell everyone that you were in the finals?
And, you know, it's funny because it's literally, when you say not tell everyone, it's literally everyone. You know what I'm saying? The first thing people do when they see you is they're like, "Yo, what happened? Did you win? Like, what's going on?" It's like, well, man, I don't know. You have to watch the show. And, you know, it was bad because people got their feelings hurt. You know what I'm saying? People were like, "I thought we were friends, man." You know, like I would tell you. I'm like, bro, I'm legally obligated not to tell you. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. But no, it was hard because, you know, especially, you know, you know, you kind of want to come home and do your victory lap. You know, you kind of want to come home and be like, "Yeah, I'm going to be in the finale." But, you know, you got to, and it really paid off too. Cause when my second fight aired, you know, people had a good feeling just because of the vibes I was putting out and the fact that I was having a fight party to watch this fight. Like people were kind of like, "Well, I don't think he'd have a fight party if he was going to lose the fight." But the fact that they didn't know for a fact just made it all the more all the more crazy when I did hit the submission, and then the whole place went like crazy. So it's been hard, but it's definitely worth it, you know, seeing people's reactions when they see the stuff happen play out how it's supposed to be.
And I know like Dana White announced like the day after the fight aired that Trayshawn was out of the fight. Is that something you've known for quite a while, or did you find out like when everyone else found out?
I knew the day before everyone else figured out.
Oh, so you didn't even get that much notice?
No, not at all. And I'm gonna sound like a broken record at this point, but it's like, it's weird. This fight with me and Trey is almost like a jinxed fight. Like we've he's from South Carolina, I'm from North Carolina. There was several times on the regional scene we were supposed to fight each other, and I was really looking forward to it. You know, he was talking cash money, you know what I'm saying? So I was looking forward to getting in there and, you know, seeing if he could back up all the stuff that he was saying. But, you know, I guess, you know, maybe we'll fight again in the future. I don't know. But I'm not too, the fact that he's out, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Gilbert Urbina, like, how much did you get to work with him? Because you guys, I assume you probably know him pretty well just from spending that couple weeks at the Ultimate Fighter together and being on the same team.
Dude, Gilbert's a cool dude too, man. You know what I'm saying? Gilbert's good people. And obviously, we did work together, we did train together, but we didn't mainly. I spent most of my time training with Ryder primarily over the course of the show, just because of matchups and game planning for certain people. We needed certain looks, so the bulk of my time was spent with Ryder. Yeah, with Gilbert, I think it does, since it is a short notice fight, it kind of is a benefit to both of us that we've both worked with each other before. So we kind of don't necessarily, you don't have to watch tape to figure out what all this person is going to do. You kind of have an idea already in your head. This is the most familiar I've ever been with an opponent before I fought him. And, I only have 10 days notice. So, I think it's a blessing and a curse. You know what I'm saying? A blessing that, I have an idea what he's going to do, but also a curse that he knows he has an idea of what I'm going to do. So,
how do you see yourself getting your hand raised? Because you're very dynamic. You have that knock power and you have that underrated ground game, which you kind of showed off in your last fight.
Yeah, man. It's the striking, it's the grappling, it's the composure, and it's the pace. I think my pace is really going to give a lot of guys really, really big problems. And especially in this particular fight, I know Gilbert, he's been training, he's been working hard, but he hasn't been in fight camp. And so if you haven't been in fight camp, I just have a really hard time believing that you'll be able to keep my pace. So I'm going to be looking I see the first round being extremely competitive. But then I see me taking over towards the end of the first round and getting a finish somewhere in the second.
Well, what would it mean for you to be like to win this whole show and earn that UFC contract?
Man, I mean, you're just talking about validation. You're talking about something you dreamed about forever becoming a reality. And just to be in the UFC is a dream, but to start my UFC journey as the Ultimate Fighter, I mean, like Forrest Griffin was one of my favorite fighters forever. To have a similar path as him, there's a ton of guys. There's a ton of guys who've gone on the Ultimate Fighter and have gone on to not do anything, but there's a bunch of guys who've gone on and become world champions and legends of the sport. So, yeah, man, I'm just trying I'm looking to win the title and to carry that momentum into my professional career entering the UFC.
You get your hand raised next Saturday. Like, are you hoping a quick turnaround? But again, I don't think a lot of people realize, like, you fought twice in like 3-4 weeks. Like, you've already fought like 4 times this year.
Yeah. No, I fought several times this year. And, this whole process has been kind of going on since January. So it's a little exhausting. But with that said, I would want to fight one more time before the end of the year, at least one more time. Because, it's unless I get, seriously injured or, something in this fight, this is the healthiest I've ever felt my entire career. I feel big, I feel strong, I feel fast, I feel technical. I want to just keep the momentum rolling. I don't want to kill myself, so I would like to take a little bit of a break, but after getting the W this Saturday, one more fight before the end of the year would be awesome.
Do you think if you win, UFC is going to book you versus Trayshawn like down the line once he's healthy, just because you guys are supposed to fight in the finale?
I mean, if the UFC wants to do that, they can do that. And Trayshawn, if he wants to, enter the UFC and have his first fight be an L, then he can take that fight. You know what I'm saying? But to me, that Trayshawn more or less, if we fight each other, then it is what it is. But that's not something I'm going to waste my time thinking about right now. You know what I'm saying? Right now, my full focus is on Gilbert Urbina, you know what I'm saying? Because he's a threat, he's a dangerous guy, and he's the one I'm fighting right now.
What was it like for you guys in the show? Because it started out Ortega winning the first 4 fights. Like, they were talking all that stuff, and then you guys just went on that run. Now it's all 4 Volkanovski guys in the finale.
Yeah. No, that was, because then not only did they win the first 4 fights, but and I'll say this, the fighters weren't that bad. The fighters, everyone in the house was pretty cool. The coaches were being kind of dickheads. So after those first 4 fights, me and the boys, we got together and we're like, yo, we need to like just run the table and get all these Ortega guys out of here, because we don't even want to see them in the finale. I don't want to have to see Ortega's coaches at the finale. Screw those guys. And so, and we did. We won 7 out of the next 8 fights. And now with Trey getting hurt, it's an all-team Volk finale, which is, it's cool too, because Volk really put a lot of effort and energy into us. He was very, professional. Like, there's that big joke about Ortega coming in late all the time. Well, what they don't show is that Volk, not only was he on time for us, but he was usually early. Like, they usually were like practicing and training before we even got there. And so it's just the example that he showed, the energy that he put into us. I think it's fitting that he has all 4 guys in the finale.
I actually heard from a few different people that Ortega's like lateness was worse than what they showed on TV. I think they tried to make it what it wasn't as bad as what it was.
No, bro, I'm talking like we're cutting weight. And he'd show up late to the weigh-ins every once in a while. Now, with that being said, Ortega, he has his moments, what I'm saying? Like, I got to give credit where credit's due. He really came through on the coaches challenge,
yeah.
So, I don't want to just sit here and talk bad about the guy, but the facts are the facts. He was late as a mug. Like, there was a lot of times where we were like pulling out, the Volk van was pulling out and going back home, and we would see them pulling in. And if you knew like how like goofy that would be to like see one of the coaches pulling in as we were pulling out, then yeah, it's just and then like because of that, or Team Ortega, they spent a lot more time at the Apex Center than we did. So we got to like come home and like, eat and, chill out a little bit more, get probably a little bit more recovery. All of our workouts were more supervised. We weren't really like just doing whatever we want. So, that probably helped with injury prevention and everything like that. So I don't know. I wasn't in their practices, so I shouldn't really say a whole lot, but I definitely appreciated Volk's approach to it as opposed to Ortega's approach to it.
Just a couple more things. Like, what was that kind of a whole experience like where you're living like in the same house with guys you're about to fight? Like, it must be pretty weird.
Dude, it was the most wild experience. It's just because it's just so counterintuitive to like what you normally think. Like for me, like I'm one of those people where, when I go to fight someone, like I look for billboard material. I'm like, that person signed a contract to fight me. They think I'm a punk. They're coming to beat me up. I'm making up all this stuff in my head. And then you're in the house and you get picked to fight the guy. You're like, dang, this guy didn't even pick to fight me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a really nice guy. He's got a family over in Massachusetts. You know what I'm saying? Before my first fight with, I'd say, all right, so just to give like an example, before my first fight with Kemron, after the weigh-ins, he had made this really nice Turkish meal, and I came over and I was like, wow, that smells good. He was like, yeah, man, you want some? And I was just like, that is so odd for, the person you're fighting to be offering you some food that they cooked the day before you fight each other. And then comparatively, after we fought, I came back through the game room, and he was sitting there and he was looking at that UFC kind of poster they had with all the tough winners in the game area. And it was just kind of like, it kind of like is a mood killer. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to feel good after the fight. Your dream gets extended. You get to chase your dream a little bit more, but then you're still stuck with the person whose dream you just took. You know what I'm saying? Whose dream kind of came to, a temporary dead end for at least the length of the show, until they got back home and got to reattack things. So it was weird. It was that was one of the weirder dynamics of it. But yeah, yeah, I don't think I'll ever experience anything like that ever again.
Is there anything on the show that you wish they would have shown, like just something that happened off the top of your mind that you can think of?
110%. Me and Ryder streaked through the apex. I need to know where that footage is. I know they got it on tape. I think we're the first people to ever streak through the apex. Where is that footage, ESPN? Why didn't it not make ESPN? I told my parents I was naked on TV because I was trying to beat ESPN to the punch, but it never even showed up. I never had to tell my mom that I got naked on TV. So, yeah, that was kind of a bummer. But, you know, there's a lot of things that they didn't show that I thought would have been kind of cool. But maybe I'm just sentimental. Maybe people wouldn't have cared about it as much as I care about it. But
are you still in contact with Volk and the coaches ahead of this fight?
Man, yeah, that just goes to say about how much more like exceptional, like these are genuinely like exceptional guys who really care about us. I mean, they have if I reach out to any one of them asking a question, they'll still answer my question. You know what I'm saying? They'll get back they'll get back to me. You know, the whole coaching staff. You know, they didn't like just get off the show and start big timing us. No, they really are. You know, still here for us, still giving us advice, and you know, sometimes reaching out themselves, just giving us words of encouragement. So yeah, you know, any chance I get, I got to, you know, Volk gets all the love, and Volk is amazing. But you know, if it wasn't for Uncle Joe, you know, Big Wood, Carolina Reaper Frank, you know, striking coach Young Colby Thickness, you know, obviously the pound for pound grappling number one get dude Craig Jones, you know, all the whole coaching staff was awesome. They're still awesome. I can't wait to see those guys again. Yeah, man.
Just last question, like, you staying in contact with a lot of your teammates or just people that you met in the house, like plans to go train with them in the future, any of that?
Yeah, man, as much because I'll be honest, like I'm terrible at communicating. Like that's not one of my strong suits. You know, I was homeschooled growing up, so you know, I was homeschooled growing up, and like the demand to talk to me has never been like huge my entire life. Now it's like there's way more people for me to talk to and communicate with, so it's all stuff that I'm still trying to get used to. But no, absolutely. My teammates, when we go out to Vegas, I already, you know, hit up Ryder, Ludwig's out in Vegas. I got Ludwig, you know, ready to go with one of my teammates that I'm taking out there with me. You know, Brady, Ricky. Yeah, no, we all still keep in contact. Like nothing crazy. It's not like we're messaging each other every day, but you know, every once in a while we still all holler at each other. You know, maybe share a meme or something. You know, make a funny joke.
Well, Bryan, I appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah. All right, we're joined by now UFC middleweight Andre Petroski. Andre, how's it going, man?
What's up, Cole?
When did you? I just want to first ask, like, when did you kind of find out about this fight? Because it kind of got announced like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Like, did you get more notice than that?
No, it was announced a couple days ago. Honestly.
Oh yeah, like, maybe like a week ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was like 11 days. How far are we out? We out now?
We're what? 6 days out, 5 days out.
Okay, we're 5 days out. Yeah, I found out at like 10 days.
Were you like, what kind of went through your head when you got the call that you'd be fighting in the UFC?
I was excited. I was ecstatic. I didn't think I was going to get on the finale, to be honest.
Yeah, what's kind of weird is you are the only other fight from Tough that got to the finale. So, like, why do you kind of think you and Michael were that? Like, do you guys think you just impressed Dana that much that you two were going to be on the show and none of the other bantamweights and none of the other middleweights got on?
Yeah, I mean, well, Urbina would be the other guy.
Yeah.
Hate to play devil's advocate, but yeah, Urbina obviously is in the finale now, even though he lost. But no, like, I think that I mean, obviously I was dominating the first round of that fight, my semifinal. So, you know, I was politicking for the rematch for the finale, but they wanted to do me and Gilmore instead, and I was fine with that. I think that they were They took note to the fact that Mike kind of showed up on the show, quit his job, made all these sacrifices to save that episode, and they felt like they owed it to him. They wanted to pay that back.
How much did you get to train with Michael during your time at Tough?
A decent amount. He was there like the last 3 or 4 weeks. So, yeah, I trained with him a decent amount. He was like one of my main training partners because a lot of the other guys were either cutting weight or hurt.
How do you kind of see this fight playing out? Because to me, I think this is a fight that's kind of tailor-made for you, where you can get them down and kind of show off your ground game.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I have I think where there's a big difference between our ground games, and I don't know. I'd like to keep it standing. Get some stand-up experience, but I think that once it hits the ground, I think that you'll see that the momentum would be heavily in my favor.
Being on the main card of this too, like on ESPN, like what's that kind of like for you, making your debut main card, like a pretty big card too, like with the main event, it's going to have some big eyeballs on it.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of could tell that that they liked me just because when you watch like the episodes, I got like a lot of like camera time. So I could tell that they liked me, but to see like the spot I was at on the card was kind of cool, to see like that's a really good spot right before Kevin Lee.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was excited.
You get the stoppage win here. Like I kind of think you'll get either TKO or submission win. Like, are you kind of hoping get another quick turnaround? Are you hoping take the rest of the year off? Because I know your record says this will be your only fight this year, but you fight a lot on Tough, which doesn't count really on the pro record.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, look, this is kind of how I make a living, so I fight as often as possible.
That the Tough finale, like how do you kind of see that one playing out? Because I think Bryan's probably going to win it.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like at this point, just based on like the 2 semifinal fights. I think that Gilbert could make it competitive early on. I don't know if Gilbert's going to be trying to take Bryan down or not. So I think that like if they stand for a while, Bryan might do, might pull ahead on the in the stand up. But I don't know if Gilbert's going to try to take him down or not. I would assume so.
Is that a fight you'd like to get back in the UFC, you versus Bryan?
Yeah, we tried to get it. I kind of, I don't know what happened as far as in the matchup negotiations and the matchmaking, but yeah, that was the fight I want. Look, obviously I dominated the first round. I think that I made a couple mistakes, but I think that anyone that watches that fight would say, it's pretty obvious who was the better fighter.
I was disappointed Trey had to pull out because I was really high on him. I thought he would have won the whole thing when it was him versus Bryan.
Yeah.
With the show, like, what was it kind of like watching it back and seeing yourself on TV? Because you never know how they're going to portray you when it's filming.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that to a point, you got to just kind of just say, fuck it. Like, whatever they want to portray, there's nothing you can do about it now. It's already all happened. I would definitely be pissed if I was Miles, but I mean, he kind of himself.
Something I did want to ask you about, because I talked to Bryan and I talked to a couple people on the show, and they were making out like Ortega was like super late and it was kind of getting on everyone's nerve. Like, from your perspective, being on his team, like, was it as bad as a TV show that him being that late, or was it kind of overshown?
So the thing that those guys need to realize, and it's like, it seems like everyone that's complaining is from Volkanovski's team.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, look, what do you got better to do? You're going to go sit in the house that we're in all day anyway. So, like, might as well get out of the house for an extra 45 minutes to an hour anyway. You know what I mean? If we get an extra 45 minutes to get ready for practice, what do you care? You know what I mean? You got nowhere else to be. What do you got to get home to do what?
Yeah.
Like, There's nothing to do. What are you going to do?
What kind of was the experience like? Because it only shows like an hour a week. It shows that you guys all just training, but there's a lot of downtime at the house where you can't watch TV, you can't go on your phone, like you can't really do a whole lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't like – it was definitely a little cliquey. Like there was definitely groups like within the Volkanovski team, and certain people naturally hang out with certain people, you know. Not much to do though. Like I would play chess with Josh all the time, or we'd sit out by the pool a lot. But besides that, yeah, man.
Just a couple more things. Like, what was that? Like, what's it like for you as a fighter, just having to live in the same house with the guy you're about to fight? Like, you kind of hear all their stories. Like, you can eat meals like right beside, and then you got to go fight them like a couple days later.
Yeah, it was definitely harder on some people than others. I wrestled in college, so you know our roommates, we wrestle each other. You know, have wrestle offs with each other, compete against each other. That was kind of normal to me.
Just last thing, like, what's that going to be like when you make the walk to the octagon? Like, what are kind of the emotions going to be like for you?
Well, it's at the Apex again, so it'll be my third time making that walk at the
Apex.
And I like the Apex. I prefer fans, but I did like the Apex. I felt really comfortable at the Apex. So, I mean, I think it'll be a little different because it's actually like a UFC fight. But to be honest, it really is just another fight.
Oh, actually, just one more. Like, I know you can't say anything about tough. Like, how hard was it when people, I assume a lot of your friends, family were all asking you about how it went? Like, are you going to be in the finale and all that stuff? You can't really say anything.
Yeah, it was definitely tough. I was ready for it to be over by the end of it because before my semifinal, all my friends and family were like, oh, you're going to kill this kid. You're way better, blah, blah, blah. Should we book our flight for Vegas? Like, I want to book the flight. Should I book it now? And I'm like, I can't tell you that. It was just like constantly like, yeah.
All right. Well, Andre, though, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks for doing this.
I appreciate it. Thanks.